Another day, another fabulous beach.
Another beach, yeah.
This time we're on Casey Key,
Yep.
and we want to tell you about what's going on in the market. We want to show you the low, median, and high prices for what's for sale.
Yep.
And what is sold in the last year.
Yes. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Dive on into it. That's
all right, let's go. Let's go. All
right. So on Casey Key, which is just south of Siesta Key,
right.
There's no bridge to get you from Siesta to Casey Key, by the way.
You have to go all the way back to the mainland, come all the way down south. You can come over. There are two bridges. There's a north bridge and there's a south bridge. The north bridge is a swing bridge, so it's one lane when you go over it. So it's very, very tight. It's not, you're not doing 50 miles an hour out here. That's for sure.
You call it a swing bridge. I call it a drawbridge.
No, there's one on the north side. There's one that tiny little bridge that opens up.
Right.
It's swing. It's swings.
Oh, I missed that. I guess I always call them on the other bridge.
So it's but the point though of that is when you live out here, you get a ton of privacy, which is great. But there is a drawback in that if you live out here, it's probably a solid 15-20 minutes just to get off the island. And just to get out to 41, you're probably a solid 20-25 minutes.
Solid. And there's really no, are there any, there's no grocery out here?
There's not a grocery store out here. Your closest grocery store is going to be NOKOMIS at 41. So you're every time you need groceries, it's going to take you some time.
But the properties here are stunning.
Yeah.
It's unique to any other island in that many of them, if you're on the bay side, they also own the beach side. So it's like a deeded beach that's attached to the property tax roll,
right,
so to speak. So there are 400 homes that I found on the tax record down here. I thought there'd be maybe more. I guess that sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds about right, I guess.
About right.
Yeah. They're large homes, though.
They're very sizable properties. And that's what we want to talk to you about. The price ranges kind of vary wildly.
So there's the lowest one right now is 1.5 million, correct?
Correct.
Tiny little cottage.
Bungalow.
I mean, my guess is it's probably 1,000-1,200 square feet, if just by the looks of it. It is on the beach. The lot is, my guess is just under 1/4 acre.
Well, we're going to get into the details of it.
So it's, but that's on the low end at 1.5 million. It is on the beach side. My guess is it's a tear down that somebody's going to tear down and put a larger home on.
It's so cute. It's just, it just juts out into just above the ocean there. I mean,
which is, I mean, you have a lot
of
of
hurricane away from that just blowing over.
Right.
I'm told that the owner lives in the residence, but sometimes they might just say that they might come and go, but it's a cute property. It's a bungalow.
Where it's located on the water, my guess is the house will cost you 1.5 million and the insurance will probably cost you about 1.5 million a month.
I mean, are they really going to insure?
I doubt it. My guess is you would be very hard pressed to insure that property. Yeah. It would be very difficult.
So low, median, and high. The median is 4.25 and the high right now is 12.5.
Okay.
So let's get into it. All right, so starting off at the low for sale, we have 616 South Casey Key Road.
Okay.
The property that we're talking about.
That's the bungalow
one. We
just
stopped by. We didn't have an appointment, so we didn't want to video there. We'll just put up the pictures here so you can see what we're talking about here. It is built in 1956.
Okay.
All right, and you guessed on the lot size. The
just
lot size is only, it's like a 0 lot line.
Oh, yeah.
Which by that I mean 4,881 square feet for the lot. That's small.
Ooh, that's a really small lot.
That is really small. So the house that sits there, this old little mid-century home, it's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath home, 1,121 square feet. So you're spot on.
Yeah, spot on with square footage.
So if someone buys that home, what are they going to do with it? They're going to tear it down. But honestly, maybe not for a while.
Maybe not for a while. What a lot of people, a lot of people will do that, right? They'll buy it. They're like, look, I'm going to come down and use it as a cottage, beach shack for a couple of years, while I make the plans and come up with the money and whatever else.
But I mean, that house has to be very vertical.
Oh yeah.
Because of the footprint of the property, which if you tear it down, you're going to have to go vertical anyway. So you're going to start at the baseline elevation, which is I think just about 12 feet. Maybe out here it's 14. I'm not sure. But close to that, and that's by law anyway.
So you're going to be high anyway, but it's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's definitely, you're on the beach. And you are directly on the water.
Next up, the median price for what's for sale.
You said 4.2?
4.25.
Okay.
It's been on the market 285 days.
Now, at 4.25, you know, I know 180 days, you said?
Okay, the one for 4.25 is 285 days.
That sounds like a long time. But it does take longer to sell homes. Once you go over that $3.5 or $4 million mark, it does take longer. But that still seems like a lot of days.
Well, it's only a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 472 square foot home.
It's a teardown.
And the lot size is 1/2 acre. So you're going to have a lot more flexibility on what you can build there. And most likely, obviously, someone's going to tear that.
Yeah, but at 4.25,
keep it as a guest house.
To me, that seems very high when you consider there have been some huge over 1 acre lots that were Gulf to Bay out here with a teardown house on them that were 3.5.
Right.
And the lot size does not justify.
Really
to me, that's just my opinion. Obviously, you know, I don't want to say anything negative about somebody's listing, but at the end of the day, because we had one in our office out here that was 3.5 million, that was Gulf to Bay. I believe it was 1.25 acres. It did have a teardown house on it that could have potentially. I mean, I looked at the photos of it. It could have potentially been salvaged. It was maybe 1,000 square feet, but it was Gulf to Bay with a boat dock in the back. So it's going to be tough to justify a lot that's that small at that price.
It is. It's got the beach frontage at 108 feet. For the right property, there's always a buyer, and there's always a seller and a buyer that can come together.
But the fact that it's been on that long kind of tells you that the market is telling them it's overpriced.
Yep.
So.
Okay, next on the list, the biggie, the big dollar ticket value.
Okay, so this one's a large one. Okay.
2821 Casey Key Road, listed for 12.5 million. It's only been on the market a few weeks, 3 weeks to be exact.
Okay.
It is built in 2012.
Okay.
Obviously, directly on the beach, right there, because there are some roads up here that if you look at the aerial, it looks like it's on the beach, but it's not.
Right.
So this is direct beach frontage, 5-bedroom, 6-bathroom,
large,
6,891 square feet under air.
So just under 7,000 square feet. That's a big property. It's a big house.
Yeah, most of these are going to be 3, 4, 5, 6-car garage. This one is a 4-car garage, and of course, most with a pool.
Right.
Of course, this does have a pool. So yeah, and you know, in the Country Club Shores video that I did recently, you weren't in it, but I kind of talked about the low, median, and high in that neighborhood too. And it's interesting. Now we're seeing more of the 10 million plus popping up on the market. It's much more frequent and going under contract. So the one in Country Club Shores at the very end, when you see the video come up, it was listed for over 10 million. It was only in the market like 3 days, pending. And then we have one in our office on Longboat on the beach side for just over 10 million that just went pending. I think it was on the market over 100 days, but that just went under contract. And then, as you all know, on Minnesota, I've got the one for 10 million. So I feel like there's much more of that.
That high-end market or that ultra high-end market.
I think we're seeing so much more in the 5 to 6 to 7, 8 million range. Many more of those.
Right.
And on average, properties that are 8 million and over take an average, I did the math, about 272 days on average.
Seems like a long time, but that's what it takes. I mean you got to remember, and I kind of say this to everybody all the time, like as the price goes up, the amount of people that can afford it,
the air gets thin at the top.
Yeah, it gets very thin at the top. And you know, and I think that when you're looking at a $10 million home, you know, generally speaking, that's about it's usually about 20% of somebody's net worth, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about somebody who's got to be worth at least $50 to $60 million. I mean,
not necessarily,
but generally speaking, you're talking about somebody who has, first off, that's probably not their only home.
But yeah, most likely.
Number one. Number two, it's generally speaking, people are comfortable in that 20% of their net worth, you know, when they're going up into this really high price points. So you know, as you get up into $50, $60 million, the market and the amount of people that can afford a home like that, not just buying it, but maintaining it and keeping it, you know, upkeep and maintaining and the whole thing, and the carrying costs, there are not very many buyers. I mean, there are very few. So
it is what it is.
Yeah, so I think that that's interesting though. It's 270 plus days. Okay.
Yeah. And then just briefly, just for like the sales on Casey Key in the last year, low, median, and high, there were 13. By the way, there are 19 for sale right now.
Okay.
I don't think I said that.
Okay.
19 for sale right now, and then 13 have sold on Casey Key in the last year.
Okay.
And those median, low, and high were interestingly low of 2 million.
Okay.
The median was much lower at 2.85, so many more from 2 to 3.
3. Okay.
And then the high was 12 million sold.
Okay.
I'm surprised it wasn't higher. I thought
I'm
maybe
too.
15.
I mean, there's some really large houses out here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are out here right now. We drove by a couple. And I was like, wow, that is a huge property. So that is a little bit surprising, because my guess is that some of these larger homes out here probably stretch up in the 18 to 20, 22 million range.
Right.
Yeah, if they were to come to market, but then generally they don't.
Right.
And you know, there are. You know, we have in our office, Lloyd Johnson grew up out here, and he tells me all the time, like, he grew up with like the DuPont family members. So you have some of these older families that own these large properties for
a long time.
Forever. I mean, I think he grew up in the 70s out here, so like they're never selling the house. So some of these really high-end properties are out here, but they may never hit the market. I mean, they may literally get passed family member to family member.
And they cost, I mean, the sheer maintenance of it is between 50 to 100,000 a month in some cases to maintain, between the lawn and the landscape and the housekeeping. And just like, the thing is, the salt air just really is harsh. The elements are really tough out here. So it costs a lot. There's constantly people doing work out here. There's anytime I've ever been on Casey Key, there's constantly like construction worker trucks and landscapers, and it's part of living in paradise, and it's a first world problem, people.
A very first world problem.
But you know what? You get this.
Yeah, you do get the water, and you know, it's very, very private down here. Yeah, I would liken it. I think that Casey Key and Minnesota Key, yes, they're a bit further removed from Sarasota, so you're further away from the restaurants and the nightlife and the shopping and all of those amenities, but you're gaining the privacy, and it's very private, especially when you go down to Minnesota.
This is
you know, we're on a public beach right now, but if you go up to where we're talking about up here on Casey Key, it's very private.
It is.
I mean,
and the road gets thin. Talk about thin up in the thin air. But the road definitely gets thin. And you're constantly maneuvering. So we've done other videos down here. Please feel free to check it out in the library on the channel there in the playlist for Casey Key, and learn more about it, right?
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to us anytime. You can call me on my cell phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 941-586-2460.
And thank you again for watching and subscribing.
Absolutely. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I need subscribers.
If you haven't subscribed, please click that like, subscribe, share. We appreciate it. All your comments too, we read and respond to, so thank you so much. We are out here actively working with sellers and buyers out here on Casey Key, all the local islands, the Sarasota mainland. And as we head into the holidays, before I forget, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy Hanukkah. Happy, all the things. Hopefully you're going to be healthy and successful in the new year. Again, if we don't forget, we're going to have many more videos till the end of the year here, but just wanted to give you a shout out and appreciate you for watching and tuning in all year, throughout the year. And so I could be reached at 941-544-7690.